he's like, oh yeah, yeah, dope, yeah, Terry, cool, man. He's like, come to my studio next week.
Mm.
So I shows up at Keith's studio with a fucking bow tie on and some shirt pants. This is when I was really into my fashion shit. And he's like, what the fuck, man? You look like you're about to go tap dancing or something like that. I shows up with a heart with a thumb drive, and the thumb drive had my logo. I was on some advanced marketing shit then. The drive has my logo on it. So he looks at the drive, he gives it to his partner, which was Maduro Fats, and he's like, oh shit, I don't know what the fuck's on here, but nobody's doing this. And this was like 2008, you know? Nobody's putting fucking music on thumb drive. So he checks out the music. He's like, oh, this is cool, man. Yeah. He didn't really compliment it. He's just like, oh, yeah, cool.
I like your thumb drive.
And shit like that. Gets to the end. So I'm like, man, record deal? He's like, no, I got a DJ crew. You DJ, right? It's like, yeah, I got a DJ crew. I want you to come and, come join us. I'm like, I didn't come here to be a fucking DJ. I'm already DJing. I'm good with that. And then that spawned a long relationship. To make a long story short, me and Keith end up working together. I end up managing some of the artists and the DJs that were on this crew of DJs in Manhattan. I was the only DJ that was working like the nightlife, hotel scenes and doing private parties, corporate stuff. These guys.
Bougie, huh?
I was on some bougie shit. That's all I knew. That's all I knew. And they were like on some hardcore club shit. These were like strip club DJs and shit like that. I was like, no, I'm not going up to Queens to check out him. So I'm going to try to keep everybody on the island of Manhattan and let them see how, I'm kind of moving and everything like that. And I had contracts with like the W Hotel, the Gerber Group, and, all of these like posh fucking places that nobody ever goes to that, wanted to like drink and smoke weed or whatever have you that, that turn up club life was. And that failed. That life failed for the Power 5 crew. And then Keith called me one day. He was like, man, I like the way you move. I want you to be my little protege. I'm like, I'm in. And that was 2008, 2009, and 11-year relationship, man. That's like my
that's
big
crazy.
He showed me New York, and I was like sliding in New York. I met him at a point where, I needed a big brother and a sort of like directional guide through how to move in New York, because it's a very scary place alone. So, yeah. So that's a long story.
So come around like 2019, we're out and about as Dash Radio begins to launch a new office and like new recording podcast studios. And I remember you dragging Keith along, and I met Keith, and he's just, social butterfly and all of this, and his personality was amazing, great. And then we ended up at my studio at the Formula Studio. And we did a photo shoot. So that was really my first one-on-one experience with Keith. But now we have this thing going on every Wednesday. But right now, Keith is not here. He's here in spirit. Because he's fixing up the studio to make it better for all the virtual sets that you guys see.
Here's the thing about Keith. Keith is always going to fix on some shit. I've seen this man tear great things down, build it up, and I'm like, whoa, this is actually better. Wasn't shit wrong with this, but, it's cooler now. So, yeah, he's doing that thing, that kind of wizard thing that he does, make things better.
Yeah. And I just I remember Keith coming to the studio, and we're all here, like the Formula team, and I'll drop the website so that way you guys can check it out. But so we're at the studio, and I am doing Keith's makeup, and Keith is like,
which epic. I've never seen Keith wear makeup that I knew of, but yes. Makeup.
So that was really interesting, because that's so funny, because it's like, he's like, what are you doing? And all these brushes are on his face and everything. We got all these really great epic photos of him in his element. You know, he was a little hard to like loosen up and everything else like that. But it was some really cool, fresh new content. We were developing an actual live event, like an in-person event at that time with him. So I won't go into that story, but what was interesting right now, and I want to kind of highlight this too, because as a photographer, Annie Leibovitz has gotten a lot of kind of shaming for shooting Simone, the most famous African American athlete. And this kind of comes to photography and skin tone, to where Annie got a lot of backlash from just audiences of Simone looking. I always find very important in shooting different skin tones in general. You have to kind of light differently in a sense, and actually really don't have to light differently because you get a little confused. You just light basically the same. Now, darker skin will reflect a little more light, just like darker clothes that are shiny. It's a little more light, but like, you know, there sometimes like people get dehydrated. So you want to keep your talent like hydrated, moisturized, and everything like that. That way you get, because some people have oily skin, dry skin, combination skin, and everything else like that. But whenever you have bad lighting, you have bad lighting. And I was really disappointed that Annie Leibovitz, or, you know, her lighting director, just did no justice to this Vogue cover.
I ask you a question. What do you do when you get a person that wants to go shoot with like a face full of zits? Like how do you
They want a face full of zits, or they want it removed?
They have a face full of zits, and they're like, for a shoot. What do you do with that? In that, like, how do you?
So when you approach that kind of situation, and it's really interesting because we have to be sensitive to people's images, right? Because I with a really long lens to like actually get my like height and weight right, because if you shoot me with a wide angle lens, I'm gonna look like a cartoon and weird and like, you know, like in your like just all this stuff. So it's the same concept. So if you really get to know that person, that's what happens when anybody comes into the studio, and you know that as a producer yourself too. Sound like a similar of what do you want to look like. So if somebody's having a bad day and a breakout on their face and their skin's not looking good, or they have like a beauty mark here that maybe or like removed if, you know, they're on actual videos, then, you know, you remove that. But that's something that you ask. And then also with people with different skin tones too, you have to be really sensitive about, you know, somebody may be a little more darker at that point, but then because they've got a lot of sun exposure, but they want to kind of go a little lighter. And I've had those situations. And then some people Photoshop people to like go really dark whenever they're not that dark, or then go really light whenever they're not that light. Now that's something that you can control with, yes, lighting and proper lighting, and then also post, because, and then something that you should always ask your talent to approve before it goes to print. So I think with that, you know, with this being very sensitive, and also the beauty industry and Vogue and Condé Nast not being sensitive about ever putting really Black people on their covers, besides like Simone now, then photographers should be responsible to ask those questions, as well as tell their assistants, as far as lighting, what that should actually look like. So that's really important. And that goes for any skin tone, any, like, people change their hair And I'll give you one other quick thing. And this was a really tricky situation for me as far as talent goes. So I shot this one gal, and she was about a size 6, which is perfectly normal for a woman to be. But she invited me to her show, and I went there, and she was a size 2. So big difference in weight. And whenever photos go and get rolled out, just as music gets rolled out, you're shooting one day, and then you have another stage when it's actually released. I saw her right before images were about to be released. So I approached her and asked her, I said, listen, like, you've been working out, you look great, like, you looked great, you know, from the beginning, but do you want me to alter the image or to reflect your current state? And she's like, yes, absolutely, please, because I put a lot of hard work into doing this.
Yeah.
So yes, let's please reflect that. So I think it's always about, you know, consciousness and mindfulness, because, yeah, and approval. So
Tell me this with the altering, and I know that happens a lot in photography, which, you know, it happens a lot in life, especially, you know, taking something from concept to market. It's going to look way different in market. Do you think that affects the psychology of the person? It definitely affects the psychology of the consumer, but of the person, like, if they're always altered, you know, like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. Like, and there's been definitely an industry shift in, you know, film and TV and photography to where, you know, people have been learning about talent to see what they actually look like in my camera, like on camera. And, you know, like I asked a lot of people have a good side. Like, you know, you've ever seen those things to where, like, if you take one side of your face and then the other, and like you reflect it and mirror it, like you just look like an alien.
Yeah.
So like, this is usually, yeah, like, you know, actually this is my good side. So like, even like my question that I ask a lot of people is like, how do you take your selfie? Is it, you know, like here, or here, or you good on both? And usually a lot of people have the answer to that question. So, and then people alter themselves in photos all the time with their apps. So I think a good way to gauge that is to really look at their social media profile to begin with, whenever you're looking at them in real life, and see what level of Photoshop is acceptable to them, because they're essentially a brand, they're a person, and they have their own personal views on their self-image. Now, I try to just light everything and shoot everything as perfectly in camera. That way I don't even have to spend that time in post.
I mean, you've been a photographer and you know, knowing, you know, film, because you dealt with dark rooms and everything like that. And you've seen the rawness of pictures in the past. Are you a purist when it comes to that? You try to keep it as natural as possible? Or
Oh, hell no.
you're like digital tools?
I am constantly, like, I think it's a blend, and it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
I'm constantly blending reality versus, you know, surreality. I think that's where the camera becomes to be a really interesting tool. And with any tools being said, you know, design and music and production, we as artists get to really actually create, you know, what that reality is. And that is definitely situational in a lot of cases. So if it's creating a piece of advertising work, it's based on clients' needs. So if it's creating my own personal art, I have an opinion, and that's my point of view. Yeah. When you're working with a celebrity or, you know, somebody of a high profile, you know, and a branded person, let's call branded people, you have to be mindful of their brands and their image and how they portray that as well. So I think there's a lot of factors that you have to always take into consideration. And whether it's like being raw or like being like out there, I never like to put myself in a box as a photographer and as a creative, because I think that's just boring. And that's one
Yeah.
thing that every art school and like our education has told people is like, find your niche.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to have a niche because my mind likes to go here, 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 here. So I completely disagree in the statement of like having a niche, because if you have a niche, you're stuck in a box and you can't escape that box because it's going to take you a long time to go and learn those other skills. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts about that? Like when it comes to music and, you know, like do people really have to find their niche? I feel like they do in music,
Uh,
somewhat.
they do and they don't. I mean, you know, I've been very, very fortunate to me really, really altered the way that I thought about doing anything or making anything that's creative beyond music or whatever have you. It's I think it's based upon people experiences. Like, oh, I stay away from niches. Some people they have that niche
Yeah.
and then they're fine within that space.
And
But
that's completely okay and fine.
yeah, it's totally fine. For a person like me, I was ruined. I was ruined as far as like how far you can go. Like
Yeah.
I was there, you know, in downtown LA at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony. Saw Quincy Jones go in, saw Donna Summers get honored, saw Lou Adler get honored, and saw Rush, which was the Canadian band, and
Hmm.
they said this speech that changed my life, Catherine. It changed my life.
What did they say?
This guy got on stage, and I forgot what member it was, and he got on stage and he did the blah 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 speech. He was like blah 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 blah, and he did this shit for 10 minutes. I'm like, where is he going with this? And he ended with, you know, we decided when we were 13 years old that we were going to start this band and we were going to play music because
Hmm.
we loved music. So this award today is an award to say thanks for deciding.
Yeah,
I think
that's
people
cool.
from that, people need to decide what they want to do in life and let the experience alter them.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
it allows you to kind of morph with times, and it leads up to now. It's like most DJs or musicians are going to be like dinosaurs. They're going to die from these times. But most people that decided to do what they wanted to do at 13 and got the awards, the accolades, time changed, economy crashed, all of this stuff here, they still continue to do what they do. There's no box to that.
Yeah.
There's just a decision. I go where it goes. If it changes me, so be it. I love it. I'm married to it. It's like you've decided already. I've decided to be in the entertainment business. I decided to be in music. I decided to be in design. I decided. So wherever it takes me, Transformers, I'll transform with it.
Yeah,
So
this
does
is
that
why we
answer
call
your
this
question?
Avengers episode because, like,
Oh,
I'm sorry, I think Avengers, but you know, the adapters, because I think right now, like,
adapters.
it's kind of like I've always had this built-in backup plan. Like, what if photography just fails for me and everything just falls apart? Stressful, sound familiar. A lot of artists probably have been in that situation, no matter if you do photography or not. You
Yeah.
know, you go and bank on something, you go to school for something, or you just like study the hell out of it and then like hope to find the success. And now that things have just changed, like everybody's just like, go out and get a new skill set, go and do this, do that. So like my backup plan for the longest time was to teach. And I've been really grateful to have amazing sponsors like Broncolor and Hasselblad. And it's really, it was really fun to travel to just all over teaching and educating and having classes online.
Yeah.
So now it's just like with schools and that whole landscape, it's like, how do I become an educator educator whenever I'm like 45 because that was my backup plan. So it's like now I got to have a backup plan on top of another backup plan. That's totally fine because I can adapt to my environment. But it's really kind of crazy during these times too. So I think it's really important to like not stay in your niche, kind of circling back around to that and be like a sponge, you know, absorbing information, learning things. And now's the perfect time, place, and opportunity to do those things, even though it's harder to connect on, you know, a human in-person level. But there's so many resources online.
I mean, there was something that someone told me when I was in New York. It's one of my I found mentors. It's like never be too high, never be too low. Always stay in the middle. That way you can see what's going on at the top. You can see what's going on at the bottom. And for me, that was always be ready to teach and always be ready to learn. And always have two of those examples in your life that you can basically know how it is to be a professional student, if you will,
Yeah.
or student, and then know how it is to just be that person that just knows what, like grandparent status, like they've been there, done that, and they're still doing that, and they're still learning, and so on and so forth. So I think it's that time for those middle ground people, and those are not necessarily your influencers
Mm-hmm.
because they don't influence on a mass level, but they influence on a level. And I think that's where that's good. This is a time for those type of people, which is yourself. You know, you have enough experience to teach, you have enough experience to learn.
Well,
And
that's one thing I've definitely learned from just like, yeah, the Vedic worldview and yoga view. You're always the student, no matter if you're the teacher.
yeah,
And everybody can always teach you something. You can right now in the digital age, it's really kind of difficult to navigate that information because there's so much misinformation and like we always kind of outro the show and I'd love to know you guys' comments too. We always talk about the WTF of the week, and by WTF that doesn't always mean what the fuck. It can be who the fuck, when the fuck, or whatever else starts with a W for that matter. So you know, Journey, I'd love to hear from you. What was your WTF of the week? And if you guys have some too, drop them below because we're about to go offline here shortly. And we want to also just hear your experiences.
well, I have a couple, but I'll
Well,
only
give them all.
share
Give them
one.
all. All right, let's make it two. I got a couple maybe.
Okay. Well, my one, which I told you briefly, I was going to talk about this, and then I'll tell you my other one. My what the fuck of the week was the whole entanglement thing that people were making fun of. Look, I'm gonna just say this: it was a what the fuck for me because I'm like, man, Will and Jada have done a lot for people. They're connected to Sony. They were the first people to take on Overbrook. Let's talk about Overbrook, their company. They took over Sidney Poitier's building at Sony Lot in West LA. First people to ever do that. Sidney Poitier has had that building for a long time. No one has gotten to graduate to that point. They made a lot of cool stuff in life. Now that they hit this roadblock that things got a little crazy and everything like that, it's like, wow, we want to make fun of that. So it's like, be careful, people. Be careful of the things that you make fun of. You really don't understand how hard it is to like maintain a certain public stature and everything like that. It just gets hard. So it was a what the fuck for me because I'm like, come on, people. Come on, man. Like, these people have done a lot. Let them have their moment, whatever that moment is. We wasn't there. We don't understand it. Just let them have the moment. What the fuck? So, my second what the fuck was we're back in quarantine. Fully. I was looking forward to going to my gym. I got a nice gym downstairs. I got a nice recreational area. I got a fucking jacuzzi here that I'm paying for, and I can't use it. What the fuck,
Yeah.
man? I
Yeah.
start coming, but it's here, and I'm like, what the fuck? My summer's, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Cool. That's my.
Well, let me know when your jacuzzi and your pool opens up. But I like my what the fuck is I still don't want to be around people and strangers that I don't know. So my WTF of the
Yeah.
week, and it kind of pertains to one person, but I'm not going to call them out or anything because I think there's a lot of different point of views. And again, I'm speaking from my point of view is there's a couple of people actually that have been just engaging with me on social media about not wearing masks and like masks don't do anything. And it's just like, WTF,
I led to the
guys.
nurses
Science,
and the
science. And
doctors.
it's like, everybody's like, I can't breathe with my mask on. I'm like, but you put the mask on, and then the dentist has to like put their mask on for 8 hours of their shifts when they do your teeth. Suck it up. Suck it up. Just suck it up. Just get a better mask so you can breathe in better. I don't know. Like, solve your own goddamn problem, please.
The mask is breathable.
And then on top, like the mayor of LA went live, right? And I'm just always tuning in, and we just, kind of went back into lockdown somewhat. So the bars are closed, the gyms are closed, and people on the live stream are just like raving, like, oh my God, how dare you? You are the devil for closing the gym and the bars and these other places and the hair shops and everything. And it's just like, what?
Once COVID.
I'm like, hold on, wait a second.
COVID-17,
Now
I
on
don't want
top,
COVID-18. I don't want COVID-19.
well, now like on top of that, it's just crazy because everybody's like, can you catch COVID again? I'm like, was anybody listening that like, can you catch the flu again? Yeah, you can catch the flu multiple times. That yes, you can get COVID again, and people have had COVID again. So we were just like, this is an airborne thing, just like the flu, but it's worse than the flu, and it's causing trauma across the world. And people just are so, like you mentioned, cozy in their American life that like, is it a freedom that you're taking away? Like from your face? Like you what? No, like cool. I don't have to do makeup from here down now. So cool. Great. Like that saves me like 5 minutes of my day when I go out, but like I'm not going anywhere. And it's like, stop bitching and moaning. Like, and that goes back to the whole like Will Smith thing and Jada. Like you guys really have nothing better to do because it's like, I don't get it with like just these like outrageous celebrity news. It's like, oh my God, somebody cheated. That's happening right now. Somebody's cheating on somebody right now. Doesn't make it right, but it's like all the clout and all the outrage because it's like, well, let me make this person look bad because maybe I'm doing something bad with my life. So let me make myself feel better. And that's kind of how I feel about the whole mask situation here. Let me make the people who wear masks look bad because now I'm entitled to.
I have to say this, and this is coming from a household that deals with the COVID-19 crisis head on. You know, see the DJ and the cool stuff and everything like that, but no. I have a significant other who comes home every day and she has to separate herself, go straight to the bathroom. I have to clean her bathroom every single day. She's seeing people on respirators, not breathing, not taking care of themselves. And you know what? They're not old. They're in their 20s. They're in their 30s. So as much as I want to be a conspiracy theorist and say, I don't believe this shit, I want to, trust me, I do want to. But she's like the sandbag to my lamp. I cannot float on this. Shit is real. It's not every man for themselves. Like, it's every man for a community of people that if you're stupid, then the whole community is going to suffer from it. Get your shit together. Stay in place. live past this. I approve this message.
I approve this message too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think sometimes it's like going to like harder measures is what America is not used to doing. And it's like, if everybody got a $20 fine for not wearing a mask, then I think we'd all be doing better. And everybody would just be like pissed off just about the $20 that they're paying. Yeah. So whatever.
And it's a lot. There's a lot, Kat, that goes on with this, and I'm not going to prolong this any longer. I just want to leave some people with some things to check out. If you want to put your energy into something and you want to be kind of educating yourself when you're at home sitting, watch The War on Drugs. It's a Netflix series that shows you about the war on drugs. A lot of this has something to do with our drug culture here. Last year alone, it was the highest year ever that the drug culture has made so much money. They made $11 billion on cocaine.
Are you talking about
alone.
Drugs or like our pharmaceuticals?
I'm talking drugs. I'm talking cocaine. $11 billion alone was made last year on cocaine in America. And this is being smuggled from Bolivia into the States and everything like that. You know what? I point at my nightlife. My nightlife for 20 years that I kind of dwelled in. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of money made in nightlife. People are looking to get back to that. I get it. That's where the money is. But also, a lot of this can be stabbing at the fact that people were not coming home. People were getting DUIs. A lot of shit slowed down that was kind of dark about, the world. So allow those times to pass, people. It's just, check out, you can start connecting dots to start seeing other things that the economy is affecting and that are making some people antsy. They're not used to sitting in place. If they sit in place for too long, they'll start thinking and then everything like that. We're not a thinking type country. We don't like to sit in place. We don't like to run in place. We like to do shit all the time. And that's what it really is. It's not the pandemic. It's just the fact that we can't do anything and we can't get back to our vices. I know everybody else has to. You do. We do. So, yeah. Check out The War on Drugs. Very interesting.
Well, that just tied it into a conversation that I just got off of the phone with. Literally just that exact problem with behavior and people mindfulness.
What? They get the cocaine? No cocaine?
Oh, no. They got a ton of it in New York. And it was really... Everything just went downhill after 20 years of friendship. And they got to see each other for the first time in a while. And yeah, I'm not going to tell a friend's story, but that stuff will destroy a lot of relationships, especially that COCAINE. But yeah, anyways, we're looking forward to this next week where we're going to go and Keith and I will talk about really interesting topics of like how people are tippy-toeing around how we describe people nowadays. And so look up what BIPOC means in the meantime and that coin term, which I find kind of really interesting. And Journey, tomorrow are we still doing Tequila Thursdays?
We are. I talked to our representative and our overseer and our advisor, David Iannone, and he says we are moving forward. Hella hot water. So yeah.
So for Tequila Thursdays, you guys join us live on Twitch. That's going to be 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Am I correct?
Yes.
4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, meaning 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Live on Twitch, Spectrum City Network. Really cool, interactive, digital stream. It'll be on Instagram, but it's not as awesome and dope on here. But check us out there, you guys. And then if you have any further questions, then we'll see you next week. So this has been the Cat and Shock Show without the shock, but the producer behind the shock. So thank you all for joining us. And
shout out to all the people that put up the comments and everything like that, the donators and everything like that. We had a great week last week.
Yeah, amazing.
Which they probably took off this week because it's not. But it's a great week, and I want to shout everybody out that always checks out the show, man. We need your support, and we do love you in these times and beyond.
Yep.
Yay.
All right.
Namaste.
See you guys next week. Namaste. I know I'm like about to start speaking some Sanskrit. So anyways, with further ado, DJ Journey, thank you for joining us. Everybody hit him up, follow him up because he does an awesome